Ellen DeGeneres is severely overrated. First of all, Ellen is not a funny comedian. People always say she's one of the funniest people on television, and that's simply not true. Her show is literally made for American housewives to watch during the daytime, and that's it. It's just her scaring celebrities plus criticizing and embarrassing people younger than 25 for no reason, plus subtle racism towards Asian guests, plus talking about herself and a little talking with the guests themselves. That's not to say she's a 100% horrible person, but saying she's overrated would still be an understatement. I've watched her show here and there on days off and can't say I enjoyed it. I think the comedy is not funny at best and cringy at worst. I'm definitions not the target demographic though. Her comedy is for people with low comedic understanding. I've always found her corny. I do applaud her philanthropic nature, but her show is nothing special. Let's be honest, her philanthropy could just be a shallow PR move. It's within the realm of possibility. Philanthropy by the rich is a scam. It is used as a distraction and a smokescreen, and allows them to exert undue influence on global affairs through organizations that they control. It enables them to dictate public policy to governments or other public welfare organizations which, due to insufficient taxation of the profit gains which have been sucked up by the top tier of society, are desperate and dependent on benevolent billionaires to step in. It's basically pay money to the government to do what they want versus pay money to shadowy non-profit orgs to do what I want. I just think she seems mean. If a guest she tries to embarrass is quick-witted or fires back at her, she gets this flash of looking annoyed on her face which she tries to hide with a fake smile. She can dish it out, but can't take it. Like, I imagine she gets really annoyed if things don't go her way. Then again, I don't know her, it's just an inkling. But I doubt she really cares what me, some random dude on the internet, thinks of her as she basks in her millions. I've heard rumors that it's kind of an open secret in the industry that she's mean and acts like an entitled diva. I've also heard that she hates doing her show, but it makes so much money that she would be stupid not to. I know they are just rumors, but even though I kind of liked her at the time, the idea stuck with me. Something about it just seems like it would be true, and the more I think about her show and her actions/mannerisms, the more I think it is true. I've heard the same thing. I know a guy who's a house manager for a billionaire family, and he used to be the house manager for one of the most famous singers of all time. Within his little circle of staff of the rich and famous, he said Ellen is known as the worst. He would have no reason to lie about it. I know this is hearsay and gossipy, but I totally believe it too. It's a mellow show, it does not stand out at all. That's also the thing that secures the big audience. Overall, even when watching short segments on YouTube, I felt myself getting bored. She is as annoying as heck. I've never watched her show, and I tried watching that game show one time, but I just can't stand the way she stops and cues for laughs. Genuinely asking, can you provide an example of her being racist against Asians? I've never even heard that about her. Not that I read much about her to begin with. There was an episode where an Asian boy had a translator, and Ellen basically ragged on the translator for translating what all she had said leading up to a question, rather than just translating the question. The translator got embarrassed because she was being ragged on for doing her job, and Ellen just kept digging into her, while this woman continued to look very embarrassed. Oh wow, that's pretty shitty. That video was so hard to watch. Truly awful behavior towards two children. I think her early stand-up gives you best look at her style of comedy. She does the same type of comedy, only it's way more relaxed nowadays. Probably doesn't think she has a whole lot more to prove. Happens to a lot of successful comedians when they hit their 50s and beyond. Yes, this is it. You hit the nail on the head. She was really funny 20 years or so ago. I watched her show to see her interview pop group NCT 127. She was so boring. She looked like she was half asleep and kind of cranky. Even when she was with Super M and BTS, she just looks like she doesn't want to be there at all. Basically opera but white. Basically opera but gay more like. Also, opera actually made an effort to get real discussion going and didn't just get some random celebrity to play a stupid game for 20 seconds then call it a show after giving a random family money from X company. I'm suspicious of all of this Ellen hate. It's popped up rather fast and seems to be spreading how fake news spreads. A lot of people suddenly hate her out of nowhere and are claiming it's always been this way and their reasons are always vague and based on rumor. I heard she's a bitch. I can tell she's mean by looking at her face when someone else makes a joke. Something fucky is going on. It's most likely because of the George W. Bush situation. What's the situation exactly? You mean where they had seats next to each other at a ball game? She said she was friends with him. I agree she's overrated, but if you actually listen to some of her old stand-up she's pretty funny. Her show though, hell no, it's garbage. I highly recommend her early books too, like My Point, and I do have one. I'll check that out. I've never read a book by comedians, so thanks for recommending it, stranger. If you read this message, I wanna ask, do you have more suggestion on book? Some book you like recently or some of other comedy books? CNT his teenager US ear rotary phone. I cold used it just fine, so could all my friends. I feel like they hunted around until they found a teenager that specifically couldn't or would pretend not to for the TV. Genuinely don't understand what these type of videos are trying to prove, like a teenager doesn't know how to use something that became obsolete 20 years before she was even born and has never had to use in her life. Wow, kids these days are so stupid. Why don't they bring out a fucking spinning Jenny and see if Ellen can use it? Scott Kramer's comment in his video when she was being timed fumbling a map was perfect. When was the last time you used a map, Ellen? To be fair, she was a decent stand-up comedian back in the day, had a fairly successful sitcom, then risked her whole career to come out of the closet, lost her show because of it, and managed to come back from all that in a big way with her daytime show. The fact that she's less funny now, does very safe material, and focuses on banal stuff like celebrities doesn't bother me as much considering what her early career is like. That said, I kind of agree. Her show is very repetitive and lacking in substance, but that's daytime TV in general. I guess what I'm saying is that her show is kind of boring, but I'm inclined to reserve judgment considering how she's paid her dues. Kind of like Oprah. You can hate the bland daytime crap she makes, but she had to go through hell to find her success, so it's kind of hard to judge after the fact for playing it safe and appealing to the masses. Took the words out of my mouth. I agree. Her sitcom was doing poorly when she had her character come out. If that hadn't happened, she would just be another comedian who failed to carry a sitcom into syndication. I'm happy she did, and she's been a good face for the lesbian community, but it feels to me like there is a bit of history rewritten here. Everyone knew she was a lesbian. It wasn't even a big deal. It was just a publicity stunt, and it wasn't even that risky at the time. Will and Grace premiered like 2 years later. I remember when it happened. They made a spectacle about it, but your average American wasn't surprised. Not did they give a shit. No one gave a shit when she came out. Was Paul Lynn a pole smoker? No one gives a shit. She did not come out of the closet on the show. Her character came out of the closet. She also said that her character coming out will not turn the show into how her character is now gay. It was just going to be a fact that her character was gay. But the show did become about how the character was gay. The very next episode was about how lesbians meet each other at grocery stores. The quality of the show didn't change, but the direction did, which she said wouldn't happen. Well, apparently she is an awful person, shouting at her staff and such. She's also sexist. Yeah, I heard she doesn't even sleep with men. Why? When did she do something sexist? One time I saw her get 2 or 3 topless male models to play a quiz and IDK if they were actually stupid or were paid to act stupid, but there was definitely a stupid sexy topless male sexist vibe to it. To add context, she will frequently have male models come on stage for something or to do something, and before they leave the stage she'll get them to rip their shirt off. IDK if that's sexist also, but it's definitely a double standard by objectifying men when objectifying women is not really tolerated nowadays. Edit. Another thing. She has 2 male members of staff that she frequently takes the piss out of. One will bring out stuff on stage, checks, gifts, etc., and will sometimes be wearing embarrassing clothing. The other is literally called Average Andy, and she makes him do all sorts of things that make him look stupid and foolish. For International Men's Day she brought on some men to objectify to show how it feels to be a woman or whatever, and the whole thing just felt utterly disgusting. She's an awful person who doesn't deserve her fame, like most celebrities. Bring back Rosie O'Donnell. What gets me is she's a lesbian, which is awesome. But why is it always shirtless hot men on there? Like, can us lesbians also get a shirtless hot woman every once in a while? Is because straight women and gay men are her target audience. She has to keep them happy.